In this tutorial, we're going to quickly look at some of the options that we have with the blend tool in Illustrator. The blend tool, with a shortcut of W, creates a highlight around this icon here. The way that we use the blend tool is that we need at least two shapes. What I'm using here are two paths. To blend between one path and the next, you click on one endpoint and you go down and you click on the second endpoint. Now, what I have here is a black plane, and the reason why that is because if I double click on the blend tool, I'm going to open up the blend tool options, and what that is presenting, if I turn on preview first, and I come down to the specified steps option, we see that I have 961 steps between one line and the next. Now, if I just make that 4 and press the tab key, we see now that there are 4 steps, 4 added lines between the first line and the second line. Okay, let's see what else it can do. In this example, we're going to blend between a thick line and a thin line. Again, I'm choosing the blend tool and I'm clicking on my first line's curve point and I'm going down to the second line's curve point. If I double click once again, we will see that with the specified steps, I have 32 steps between one line and the next. If I lessen that to, let's say, 20, we can see that we are graduating from our initial thick line down to our thin line. If I go down to, say, 10 steps, we can see that a lot clearer now. Now, the great thing about the blend tool is that while we still have our blend shape, like this, here it is in the layer view, our relationship between the two objects, our blend, is able to change. So that if I go to the first line, and let's say that I make it just a 10-point line, we see that it updates. So this is what is considered a live object. If I go to 100 point, we see once again it updates. Now, I'll return to 10 point and I'm going to select the second line. If I use my selection tool, I can change the appearance of this line by either scaling it, and we see it updates, or if I rotate it, we see again it updates, returning to its original view. As well as being able to blend between the shape, we can also blend between the colors. Selecting the top line, and I'll bring this back to 60 points. I'm going to change my stroke color using my swatches. So I'm now going to blend between a red thick line coming to the other line and let's say a dark blue thin line. Okay, let's look at another example. For this example here, I'm going to blend between 3 objects. Instead of using this blend tool here, I'm going to use the object menu so that I get more reliable results. I'm selecting my 3 objects and I'm coming to the object menu. Inside here, we see we have a menu option for blend. First, if I go to my blend options, we will see that there is the same interface. I'm choosing specified steps of 8. I'm clicking on OK. Now I come back to Object, and in Blend I have Make, which has the shortcut of Option Command B. I make that choice, and we now see we are blending from the straight line to the wavy line and back to the straight line. If I open up the blend object here in my layers palette, we'll see that we have the first line, the second line, and the third line. Again, if I choose one of these and make a slight change to it, we should see that we can again update our blend. If I look at this the other way, and I use the blend tool, I can go from one to the next to the last. If I open this up now, we see there is a fourth line, and it's called path. What path is the direction in which the blend takes. And this too has control over how my final result looks. If I come here and I use the direct selection tool and I select this anchor point, if I pull that out, we can see that my object now blends from here to over here and back to being in the same vertical line. I could also use my anchor point tool, which is inside the pen tool set, and if I click and I drag, I can have another effect. If I double click on my blend option and get my specified steps and make it say 50, we start to get some very interesting results. And again, let's take that up to say 100. There we go. And I'm going to get my stroke options, select my blend. I'm going to make the weight of my blend 0.5 point to lighten up the darkening. The path can still be manipulated, and I can use my pen tool to add new points on the path. Add an anchor point there. Add an anchor point there. Now I can get these new anchor points and start to make further manipulations to my blend. Okay, let's move along. Here I've been using the pen tool to draw some freeform shapes. One last time with this tool, I'm going to get the blend, and I'll select that. I'll come to here, and then I'll come to here. And you will notice, once again, we will have a path with our blend. It has the sharp angle to it. I'm going to choose anchor point tool once again and smooth it out. I'm going to double click here and raise my number of specified steps to 250. Let's turn on a preview for that. But the stroke thickness, again, is an issue. So choosing the weight, I'm going to set that to 0.25. And there we go. Now we're starting to get a fine level of detail. To finalize this object, I'm going to get the top path. There it is. And set it to rather bright tones. And then the bottom path, I'm going to set to a darker color. And there we have it. That is a small tutorial on how to use the blend tool in Illustrator. Thank you.